Good morning. My name is Carol Rowan, and I use she, her pronouns. I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. Please take a moment to put your mind, spirit, and cell phones in worship mode. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. We hope you stay after the service for coffee in the fellowship hall back there. Now, please take a second to stand up and connect with everyone watching at home. Up there. Okay. What happened to Dan? Okay. Our church is served by our minister, Reverend Jen Raffensperger. This week, as we celebrate Earth Month, we are pleased to welcome 4 guest speakers to our pulpit. They are Dan Crawford, who will talk about utility-scale renewable energy. Dan spent his early years in this area before heading to Oregon and Washington State, and later to Galveston, always working in a variety of saltwater endeavors. In 1995, he moved back to Roanoke to spend time with his Baptist minister father. Eventually, he saddled up with the Sierra Club and has been chair of the local group for 13 years. Terry McGuire will be talking about extended producer responsibility. Terry was elected to the Roanoke City Council in November 2024 and is currently serving as vice mayor. He lives in Old Southwest and is passionate about parks and sustainability. Lenny Kolstad will be talking about Sustainable Roanoke, where he is the president of the board, and also about Beyond Plastics. Lenny grew up in Connecticut and in 2017 moved to Roanoke, where he is married and has 2 young children. He works as a mechanical engineer and enjoys playing tennis, as well as devoting time to environmental causes. And Bob Egbert, who joined UCR with his wife Susan 35 years ago and raised their 2 daughters in this church. Now in retirement, Bob spends much of his time working on environmental projects, including heading up the Green Team, and he recently went to Richmond in January to discuss issues with our local state legislators. We acknowledge that our church resides on the traditional lands of the Tutelo and Monacan nations and was later farmed and developed through slave labor. We recognize and respect the ongoing connection to this land by generations of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. May our gratitude and fellowship here echo and honor that rich history. Please join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness, overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself, or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And our covenant, we commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world.
Morning has broken.
Our opening words today are from Chief Noah Self. We belong to the earth, this we know. All things are connected like the blood that unites one family. Whatever befalls the earth, befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. Now, we join with Unitarian Universalist churches and congregations around the nation and the world as we light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, and the beacon of hope within our living tradition.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jessie. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at UUCR. So I wanted to invite up everybody who wants to hear a story or wants to hear something about like what's happening over here with all this fabric. So come forward. If you're young at heart, come on down. So as you're coming up, I'm going to tell you about something in my past. I used to work at summer camps. I spent 15 years working at summer camps. And you know what? At camp, every day, actually, not every week. We had to wash them on the weekends. But every day, we wore a different T-shirt. And we all wore matching T-shirts on those days. So for 15 years of 5 days of camp, all 15 summers, how many T-shirts do you think I owned? And this is not including the shirts this is just staff shirts. How many shirts do you think I owned? If you're sitting there doing math, just estimate. A lot of T-shirts. And when I was done with summer camp, I said, I'm going to take these shirts and I'm going to do something with them. Now, we talk about recycling. We talk about reducing. We talk about reusing. Has anyone heard of upcycling? Can anyone give me a definition of upcycling? It can come from here. It can come from out there. What's upcycling? When you're riding a bicycle up a hill. Shouldn't have opened the floor for that one. That is one form of upcycling. There's also when you take something and you recycle it by turning it into something new. And it's not just like, oh, this spaghetti jar, I'm going to use it for my personal spaghetti sauce. It's turning those T-shirts, all those T-shirts into new things. Now, I sent out about 30 of those T-shirts and made 2 twin-size quilts that now when I volunteer at camp, I take those quilts with me. So I can be like, yes, I'm old. I've done all these camp things. And I know there's people out there going, you're not old. Y'all, sometimes I'm old, especially when I'm holding up a quilt full of T-shirts. Sometimes I just wear them until I can't wear them anymore. And they have holes in the armpits, especially the tie-dye ones. Who doesn't love a good tie-dye shirt? But sometimes I just ended up with T-shirts. So here's one. This is not one of my camp shirts, but this is an example of a T-shirt. Right, yeah, this is a T-shirt. Sometimes what I did was I got super creative, and I went on YouTube, as we all do, and found things to do with my T-shirts. So I made this shopping bag. I upcycled a shopping bag. And it doesn't even require any sewing. And you know what? This is from an old dress that I had that I got caught on the corner of a table and it ripped all to shreds. And it was kind of embarrassing, but then I was like, man, the colors are too good. I can make an accessory for my T-shirt bag out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this example bag upstairs. We have a ton of old T-shirts upstairs. You guys are going to make yourselves a bag. It's a great library bag. It's a wonderful swim bag because T-shirts dry pretty quickly. And I've used bags like this forever, but it's kind of cool when it's a shirt that I used to wear, huh? So you guys are shirts that people here used to wear. Some of my friends gave you some shirts. So we're going to go pick a t-shirt and upcycle that shirt into a bag. And here's another thing. If you don't want to keep the bag, they make an amazing gift. You ready to do it? Let's go.
And now we have our Earth Month message. And it's entitled Earth Month Looking Forward. And I didn't know until I looked it up, but Earth Month, there's Earth Day, which is in a couple of weeks, but we couldn't do the service that day. So I looked up, and there is an Earth Month, so this is it. Our speakers today are Dan Crawford, Lenny Kolstad, Terry McGuire, and Bob Egbert. Okay, Dan.
In the late 60s, the Sierra Club leadership huddled up and agreed that if we don't successfully address climate change, nothing else is going to matter. So our goals, our focus, and everything became quite focused, saving life on Earth as we know it. Most of us remember the times. Solar panels on the White House, right? First Earth Day. A lot of other things were happening. We remember this. Then along came Reagan. Get those damn panels off this roof. And things have been different since then. But now there's good news. Throughout the world, the country, and in parts of Virginia, they're pouring it on. To address rapid climate change, wind and solar are the primary tools. Let's have some terminology. Distributed refers to those small sites measured in kilowatts, like on your roof, on a parking lot and such. Utility scale is the big things. You're familiar with that. And usually measured in megawatts. Terminology. A megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. It takes 1 megawatt to service about 300 to 500 homes, depending. 1,000 megawatts makes a gigawatt. Wow. It takes about 3 gigawatts to service 1 million homes, to get a sense of scale. Wind is the largest source of clean energy on Earth by a wide margin. There are over 74,000 turbines just in this country. And we don't lead the world, China does. Texas has the most. A Texan once said, there's nothing between that warm, moist Gulf of Mexico and the cold Arctic Circle but barbed wire and tumbleweed. A wind machine of unparalleled capacity, and it serves us well. The top 4 states in the country in wind power, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Iowa. They're all red. And there are all neighboring states also have wind power, of course. Virginia is one of 9 states with no wind farms. Every neighboring state has wind farms except Kentucky, and they have a turbine as a demonstrator, a baby step. West Virginia over here has 7 wind farms. Generally in the mountains, altitude translates into wind. The higher, the windier. In 2014, Apex Clean Energy of Charlottesville, Virginia, began the complicated process that would lead to a wind farm on Poor Mountain in Botetourt County, about 4.5 miles northeast of Eagle Rock. Opposition was stiff. Actually, it went from stiff over 10 years to fierce. Opposition was stiff, but in early February of this year, work began. Shovel struck earth. It's happening. Rocky Forge Wind will include 13 turbines, 643 feet tall, each with 6 megawatt capacity, so total capacity here, 79 megawatts. Site preparation is going to consume most of this year, as you can imagine. Next year, the exciting part, the turbines. There are 6 more sites in Virginia's 350 miles of mountains that can accommodate a wind farm. Only 6. The conditions necessary include private property owned by someone willing to lease, altitude. You need at least 3,000 feet in the mountains to get that usable wind farm. And also, and this is one of the big sticking points, a transmission line running through or adjacent to the site. So all of a sudden you see the list got pretty short, only 7 sites in the state. Okay, where are we here? Offshore wind is finally gaining momentum in the U.S. There are 3 small to medium wind farms now in service, with many more proposed. Coastal Virginia offshore wind, 26 miles out, is fully permitted and well underway. I don't think it can be stopped. It'll have a capacity of 26 gigawatts. Now, we're late in the offshore game. In European waters, they have over 6,000 turbines, and impressive numbers in Asian waters as well. But we're starting to pour it on. We're just behind. Solar's making impressive gains with advancing technology and volume sales lowering prices. At the end of 2015, Virginia had no solar farms and about 3,000 distributed sites. 6 years later, at the end of 2021, we had 51 solar farms, and they drew the line at 5 megawatts. You had to be pretty big just to count. 51 of those in the state, and about 26,000 distributed sites, the small ones. Bottom line, output capacity, or how much fossil fuel do you displace? The 51 solar farms had an output capacity of 2,657 megawatts. The 26,000 distributed sites, 248. Now, 248 matters, trust me. But if we're going to save our bacon, we need the big numbers, right? Period. It's obvious. Also, good news. In February of this year, we had 115 solar farms with an output capacity of 4,153 megawatts. It's happening. It's just not happening in Appalachia. You don't see it around here. This encouraging growth is all well east of us. The largest array in the valley, the Veterans Administration, 1.6 megawatts, to get a sense of scale. Go north to the town of Bedford, they have a 3 megawatt array. Go further north where 81 and 64 meet, there's another 3 megawatt. It's a start. Interestingly, and I share good news anytime I can find it. Last year, late in the year, Roanoke County issued a permit for a 4 megawatt array in the Bent Mountain community. So that's a step in the right direction. Go all the way south to Wytheville, and you'll find a solar array of 20 megawatts in Wytheville. But we have a lot of work to do, as you can see. Franklin County turned down 3 proposals. Bedford County, when approached, said, we don't want to be bothered, because the first thing a county has to do is create the body of legislation, regulation, and protocols, and they said, we're not even going to bother. They're not interested. So we got a lot of work to do, and thank you for this time.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here for your Earth Month service. I'm Lenny Kolstad. I'm president of the board of Sustainable Roanoke. We're a nonprofit, 100% volunteer-based and environmentally focused, serving the Roanoke Valley. And I'm going to talk about a few different things today. One is what we've been doing the last year and a half. So prior to that, you probably know us from our large recycling events we had just outside the walls here. And they were very successful and popular. We diverted a lot of materials from the landfill, hard to recycle materials. But it was very time consuming for our volunteers. So about a year and a half ago, we thought about what else can we do to tackle this plastic issue. So one thing that Terry's going to talk about in a minute is extended producer responsibility, or EPR. So we're working with an organization known as Beyond Plastics. They're out of Bennington College in Vermont, and they're a nonprofit as well, and they're solely focused on ending plastic pollution. So they've been helping us with our EPR efforts, getting a coalition of folks to bring this to the state level. But outside of that, so a couple other initiatives we're undertaking. We've adopted about a 2-mile stretch of Williamson Road north of Orange Avenue. So we've committed to cleaning that up 4 times a year. We'd love to have more volunteers out for that. We just had our spring cleanup, and we'll plan something in the summer. A couple other things we've done. In the fall, we had an event at Roanoke City Schools' new Technical Education Center, the DayTech facility up by William Fleming High School. So it was interesting to see the different lab spaces there, culinary, welding, HVAC. But the environmental aspect of that is that they installed about a 10 kilowatt solar system on their front entrance canopy. And then they put 12 electric vehicle chargers in the back parking lot because they just purchased or leased 10 EVs for their maintenance fleet. So that was very interesting. And then just in January, we had a tour of the RDS recycling facility. I couldn't attend, but other board members did, and they learned a lot about the sorting process, what materials are accepted. And now our next step is to understand what we learned from RDS versus what the jurisdictions are allowing, Roanoke City, Roanoke County, in terms of what the city and county accept. So we want to dig into that too. And one more thing, we have a quarterly newsletter. Our spring one should be coming out this week. So if you're interested in learning more about what we do and how to get involved, you can come see me after this. Go to our website, sustainableroanoke.org, and you can sign up for the newsletter there. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry McGuire. It is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me for your Earth Month service. If you live in Roanoke City, it is my huge honor to represent you on our Roanoke City Council. And I wanted to just tell you really quickly about some of the things that we can work on and are working on at the local level. We all know, because of the work that Sustainable Roanoke did, that we have a huge plastics crisis, a plastic waste crisis. And I was walking up into the church and remembering all of the drop-offs that Sustainable Roanoke organized for years and years. And I think what came out of that was a really great community of people committed to wanting to see better and recognizing there's a big problem, and then also recognizing that we're not going to recycle our way out of this problem, and that we have all been victims of corporate greenwashing, and that this is also a bigger problem than just plastic bottles on the side of the road. I would encourage all of you to look up Beyond Plastics, Google extended producer responsibility. We need to find a better name for it. Polluter pays. And look up, there's a lot of information online, the story of plastics. Look up some of the really short, good documentaries out there about where this stuff comes from. Because for a lot of us, we just see the visual, aesthetic problem when we're walking along the greenway. But at every step of the process, this is really dangerous, toxic stuff. Plastic is extracted, the materials out of the ground via fracking and other really dangerous processes that pollute communities in other places. The manufacturing of it pollutes nearby communities. Then we deal with sort of the end cycle of all of this plastic. We're ingesting about a credit card's worth of plastic a week, 5 grams a week. There are untold health consequences that we haven't even fully wrapped our heads around for especially young people, people that are vulnerable. And then at the local level, we have to pay for that. We have to pay to get rid of it. We have to pay at least, I think I was crunching some rough numbers before I came, it's about $1.5 million at least that we're paying for our landfill services to get rid of this waste. And I'm sure it's much more than that. And then it's also, there's a cost. We have a growing outdoor recreation economy, which is a huge I think, part of our economy that we should be nurturing and supporting because it's good for us as people to have connectivity to the outside and to nature. And lo and behold, it's good for the economy. And look at all of the jobs that we have created, and look at the neighborhoods being reinvigorated. We jeopardize that when visitors come and float down the Roanoke River, depending on if it's right after a storm or something. And if you walk down the Greenway, you see it. You know, it is, if you walk along Williamson Road, if you walk along Franklin Road, you know, citywide, what does it mean when you go somewhere and it's dirty and it's unattractive? You're less likely to want to go back, you know? And so we're doing, you know, we have a lot of work to go. That's, I feel like, sort of the Roanoke way. Like, we're sometimes 5-10 years behind what a lot of other places are doing, and that's okay. You know, I think we are sort of slow to adapt to change sometimes, and that's okay too. But I think for EPR, I want to say thank you to everyone that's worked on it to get us to where we are. Former council member Bill Bestpitch, the plastic bag fee is a piece of that. We have an acknowledgement that we have a massive problem. There's a lot of ways that we can address that. EPR shifts the responsibility from localities dealing with the waste back to the producers of the packaging. We already have this in a lot of countries, a lot of places, a lot of states. Maine is really leading the way on this. So what I am hoping, the Sustainable Roanoke folks have worked really hard to continue elevating this issue. The call for extended producer responsibility as one action pathway forward for us was put into our climate action plan. We have adopted the climate action plan into our city's comprehensive plan, the master plan. So now we have to implement that. That is what I'm hoping to help do, is keep moving that forward. We were able to get a call for extended producer responsibility into the legislative agenda for the city. So we're asking Sam Rasool and Dave Suderline to carry legislation in Richmond to get a program in Virginia that looks like what other states are doing. So it'll take some time, as it always does, to get bills passed, but I think that the community is doing a really great job of building momentum, and it allows us to have conversations about our outdoor recreation economy and public health and environmental justice and all of these things that we care about but feel really helpless to do anything about. This is sort of one of the slow, steady death by 1,000 cuts. You know, if you want to, I was at the rally yesterday. If you want to stick it to the president, you know, then follow the money. These big oil and gas companies are making record profits, and they're thrilled with where we are at the national level. So there's a lot that we can do locally. Thank you for being engaged. I encourage you to check out our climate action plan that we have here in Roanoke. And I am one of 7 members on our city council, so when you see the others, tell them that you care about the climate action plan and that you want to see the city move forward with this in a way that protects our public health, that saves money, and advances the goals and ideals that I think that, especially in this room, that we share. So thank you very much. That was more than 5 minutes, I think, but I really appreciate it.
Good morning. I'm Bob, and I'd like to do a short reading and tell you about a book, and the reading is from that book, Sand County Almanac. It was published in 1949, coincidentally, the year I was born, and it was a major force for my life. In fact, if you connect the dots, I might not be here if it wasn't for this book. I discovered it in 1973 and have had a copy ever since. But the part of the book, well, it's a collection of essays from the author, who is named Aldo Leopold. And it has an essay at the end called The Land Ethic. And the part I'm going to read is a subset. It's 3 paragraphs from that larger essay. It's called The Community Concept. All ethics so far evolved rest upon a single premise, that the individual is a member of a community of interdependent parts. His instincts prompt him to compete for his place in that community, but his ethics prompt him also to cooperate, perhaps in order that there may be a place to compete for. The land ethic simply enlarges the boundaries of the community to include soils, waters, plants, and animals, or collectively the land. In short, a land ethics changes the role of Homo sapiens from conqueror of the land community to a plain member and citizen of it. It implies respect for his fellow members and also respect for the community as such. Now I'm going to two other readings which are the point. Our sixth Unitarian Universalist principle. We affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Our seventh principle. We affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. I think there's a connection there. The seventh principle was written in 1985. The Sand County Almanac probably was a foundation of what we now think of as the environmental movement. I am at least in part here because someone showed me a copy of these seven principles, and I said, so anyway, I'm here. But the take-home message, what to do. All of the three people who spoke before me highlighted several problems and offered some solutions. But it really comes down to community. And we are a community here. This church community is a member of the community of Roanoke, is a member of the community of all existence of which we are a part. And this church specifically is a member of an organized web of all existence, which is called the Virginia Conservation Network. When Carol introduced me, she said, I went to Richmond. Well, I went to Richmond on behalf of this church to advocate directly to our representatives for clean energy, for climate protection, and solutions. The Virginia Conservation Network has a webpage, and your first take-home message is when you get home or when you get your phone out, go to that webpage and look at it. You can't read it all because there's an overwhelming amount of our information, and it addresses each of the other issues that were presented this morning. But it's a plan, and within that webpage, you'll see a couple of things. You'll see a link to our webpage at this church under the list of partners, along with over 150 other organizations in Virginia. And you will see a link to a thing called Our Common Agenda. And that is a policy book that the Virginia Conservation Network creates every year to take to the General Assembly to lobby our state legislators. So if you want to know what should we do, crack open that book. It will tell you in detail under the heading that you are most interested in what we are advocating for and what you should tell your legislators. So it's all spelled out. It's spelled out in detail. So please go look at it. We are, Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke is a partner of the Virginia Conservation Network. So you are part of the Virginia Conservation Network. Second message, take-home message. Decisions are made and things get done by the people that show up. April 27th, our next climate and clean energy rally on the street corner out there. Our green team meets on the street. We don't sit down and have committee meetings with an agenda and minutes. We meet on the street and we talk amongst ourselves. We talk in coffee hour about things that need to be done. We swap emails, and that's how we decide what to do. So, if you want to be a force for good in the world, see me at coffee hour, come out on the street. on April 27th. Plant your feet, take a stand. Show up. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Bratton, and Joanne Spetzler and I are the Special Collections Coordinator for our church. Today is the fourth and last Special Collections of our church year. Today's collection is for Roanoke Area Ministries, or Ram House, and many of us know about it, but many of us do not. We have a lot of new congregants. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about it today. Today's offerings, everything in the plate, will go to Ram House, as well as online giving throughout the month of April. And there's instructions in the blue handout, so I'm not going to take time to talk about that. So please give generously. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is at the bottom of the page, we have our annual meeting in June, and in that meeting, we actually choose the next 4 recipients of our special collection. So if you work or volunteer for a organization, nonprofit organization, community service or social justice agency, and you would like your agency or organization to be included in the ballot in June, please see Joanne or I, and because we need to know that by May 1st. So, yeah. So in that respect, I'm going to introduce Bill. Everybody knows Bill Bestpitch. So Bill is our volunteer and sponsor of Ram House, and he'll be introducing Melissa.
Thank you, Nancy. We do have a lot of new members in our congregation, which is a wonderful thing to see. So some of you may not be aware that for decades, volunteers from this congregation have been showing up once a month to help prepare and serve the lunch at Ram House on one Saturday out of every month. We had to take a little hiatus during COVID, but we came back. We have a good group of volunteers, which means that you don't have to sign up to do it every month. We can take turns. So if you want more information about how you can get involved, please come to the table for Ram House at the Share Fair, which is going to happen next Sunday, right after the service, as noted under coming events and reminders in your order of service. It's a great way to feel like you're really helping people in the community who need the help. Now for a 2-minute update on what Ram House is doing, please join me in welcoming to our church the Executive Director of Ram House, Melissa Woodson.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to get to talk to you a little bit about where the Ram House is today. I would be remiss if I did not mention that I'm so happy to see Betsy Biesenbach here today and the work that she has done over decades to get rid of the stereotypes and monolith of what a homeless person is. And I thank her greatly, and it was so nice for me, yes, to see her quickly going down this aisle back to the organ. I'm so glad you're healthy, Betsy. A monolith of how people are referred to is very frightening to me at this point. But I will say that recently, some of you may have known Susan Williams, who worked at LOA for years. I did for a couple decades, and unfortunately, she was murdered in South Roanoke by someone who was psychotic and was in the homeless community. And the nicest thing that I have seen since I've been at the Ram House in 5 years was a call from her sons to tell me that their mother's life and her 80 years towards people that were underserved was what was important about her life, and the love that it took for them to do that. I will tell you that today, the Ram House is predominantly a makeshift adult care center. After COVID, we have elderly people and disabled people who can no longer live in apartments. We have canes, we have walkers, we have wheelchairs. It's been very important for me to get a handicapped accessible building that had showers, but we're even doing more than that. We're actually, our new building, which by the way, my friends, we have raised $2,317,870. They said we couldn't do it. Well, we could. And a great deal of that has to do with Candace Bell, who's sitting over here. I know. She's leaving me as a friend, and I'm so sad about that, but she is going to continue to do our grants for Ram House, and I'm so thankful for that. So Candace, God bless you for everything you've done for us. I would also, as an interfaith community, I'd like to mention to you that our main donation is from a Hindi foundation, the Arhant Foundation. So that was a 7-figure that has turned to be a remarkable kickoff for us. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we do in the year besides continuously trying to educate people about who homeless people really are and doing this capital campaign, which believe me is a lot of work. Last year in 2024, we sheltered 2,089 people. We kept 849 households housed through our Good Neighbors Fund. That, my friends, is homeless prevention. That included 903 adults and 446 kids. 35% of our total budget goes directly into the pockets of people that we serve to keep them from becoming unhoused to start with. We actually had 1,070 people that were served by 69,350 meals. And we did that with 7 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff. It is absolutely amazing the work that we are doing, and I am so proud of it. I will ask you to come and see me so I can tell you more, but Bill gave me 2 minutes, and I promise you, Bill, I'm going to be quiet shortly. But I did want to tell you that the Ram House of the future will have mental health programs. I am so proud of the basic services that we get so that people aren't in the cold and they can wash up in sinks and all those things, but we need more. People need to have showers. People who are in psychosis need to have mental health therapy. We have no office space for that. We're in this big cathedral where no privacy is there. Our elderly people who have canes and they can't get up the steps commonly have to walk outside around the building and up a ramp. Unacceptable. We have got to do better. We're going to have substance abuse and 12-step programs. We're going to have an employment center, of which we're working on a huge grant right now to be able to employ a lot of the people that are coming into our financial aid office or get them better jobs. So Betsy, there you have it, I'm on it. And finally, the showers, and I will mention that again because that is so important to me. It is completely unacceptable that people be bathing out of a sink. I thank you for having me here. I know I've gone a little bit over, but I hope I've been informative and reasonably brief enough.
Come see Melissa in coffee hour after the service back here in the fellowship hall.
Did you all hear Bill? Okay, great. We come now to that time in our service each week when we invite you into your generosity. The work of this church community is only possible with your generous contributions to our ongoing work to keep love at the center of all we do. And if you've read the blue sheet here, you know that the money that's donated today in the collection plate baskets will be used as a donation to the Ram House. So, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Terry Smith, here on behalf of the Caring Committee to share the lifelines that our members and friends have asked that we pass along to you. Adam Farad, I'm not going to say this properly, Fajardo, Janelle Heller, and family's 96-year-old grandmother, Avis Light, has been in and out of the hospital over the last few weeks with a variety of challenges. She's now in the palliative care unit, and we are holding her in the light at this time. Our sympathies go to Dennis McKim, whose mother passed away Thursday in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, his hometown. Cleo McKim was 99 and married to Dennis's father, Robert, for 57 years. She lived many years independently after his death in 2004 and moved to assisted living in 2021. Please hold Dennis and his brother and sister in your hearts. Gary Mason reports that the procedure at UVA Hospital was not successful. He seems to be getting worse, and there's nothing more the hospital or the Mayo Clinic can do to alleviate his pain. Gary says he's thankful for all the cards and the food that the members and friends of our community have sent. Beth Carruthers, member of our church, fell and has fractured her hip. Doctors chose not to operate, so she's back at Cardinal, where she will undergo physical therapy. I know she would appreciate cards. Kathy Overholser remains in UVA Hospital undergoing diagnostic procedures and tests. And finally, I saved the good news for last. Beth Griffin is going to have her hip replacement surgery on May 28th. It was originally scheduled for July. She's been on the list waiting for a cancellation, so this really is good news. And if there's another cancellation, she may get in sooner. At this time, I'll invite you to come forward and share, not share, come forward and light a candle for what joys and concerns you may hold in your heart. And please use both sides of the altar. And finally, we will light one candle, thank you, Carol, for all those watching at home or wherever you may be this morning and can join us through YouTube. We are all together in spirit and love, and the value of community has never been more important. Thank you.
A prayer for Earth Day. We gather today with hearts filled with gratitude for the wondrous gift of Earth, our home, and all its vibrant life. We are thankful for the beauty of the mountains and the oceans, the vastness of the skies, and the intricate web of life that sustains us. We acknowledge our role as stewards of this planet, and we seek the wisdom and courage to act with care and compassion, to protect the vulnerable, and to heal the wounds we have inflicted. May we choose to live sustainably, to reduce our consumption, to conserve our resources, and to promote justice and peace for all creatures. We pray for a future where our planet thrives, where ecosystems flourish, and where all beings live in harmony. May the beauty of this earth compel us to act in ways that preserve, protect, and sustain all creation. so that each and every living being may flourish now and for generations yet to come. Amen. First of all, today with the announcements, I want to thank all of people who've helped in this service, Carrie and our choir, our speakers, Melissa, did I get that right? Yes. Melissa and Terry and Lenny and Bob and Dan. Thank you all for helping us out today. And now, as we draw to a close of this time together in worship this week, we turn our attention from within our own community and their joys and concerns, and we prepare to engage with the world in the week ahead. We'll begin with a few announcements. Next Sunday, April 13th, we will welcome our new members during worship. And after the service, we'll have a share fair in the fellowship hall. It's a great chance to learn about ways you can get more connected to the work and the community here at UUCR. On Easter Sunday, April 20th, there will be a sunrise prayer service in the Memorial Garden at 7 a.m. This simple service will bring your own chair. And our youth will be preparing a breakfast for us to share after this service. We will still also hold our regular scheduled 11 a.m. Sunday morning service on Easter Sunday. More announcements can be found in the weekly email newsletter. And if you're not receiving the newsletter and would like to, please contact admin@uuroanoke.org. We are entering into the final week of the feasibility study for our proposed capital improvements campaign. And right now, Claire English is going to share a brief testimonial on her experience.
Good morning. It's great to see everybody. You may have heard something about a capital campaign. It's our most ambitious ever. When people talk about money, I must confess, my eyes glaze over and I wander away. But this didn't happen. I was happy to hear instead talk of a new environmental aspect and a feeling of welcome. And, you know, that's what we already hold in our hearts at UU, that feeling of welcome. It was great to know that that's where we're going with our environmental changes here. I come away from the capital campaign feeling excited and enthusiastic, and there were even visuals to help me dream along. Our champions heading up the capital campaign want your input. They want your thoughts, yours and yours and yours, and we can't do that unless we show up. So I would ask you to sign up for the next available meeting. I was glad I did. You'll be glad you did. So much gladness. Thank you.
As we began our service today, we close now by joining Unitarian Universalist churches and congregations across the nation and the world in extinguishing the chalice here in our sanctuary, knowing that the flame of faith is carried within our hearts and into the week ahead. And now our closing music, which is Blue Boat Home. And I think the words will be up here, and please stand as you are able as we sing.
We're just giving Betsy a second.
As we go into this week, may we celebrate our earth and our shared lives, and may our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through the storms. Amen.
Amen.